It's been a lovely year.
Yeah?
I got myself engaged.
Yeah, it was leap year.
Problems and issues surpass in magnitude and in danger anything which the world has ever known.
1948, year of great events touching the lives of every Canadian. For some, the age-old fight of man against nature flared in fury with the devastating floods in the West. Men filled sandbags and built dikes to protect their homes and watched the mighty Fraser rise.
It's still rising.
More sandbags.
More sandbags.
More sandbags. More sandbags.
More sandbags.
More sandbags. More sandbags.
The water's still rising.
Too much water in the West. Too little water in the East. Dry forests of northern Ontario and Quebec burst like tinder into flame. Millions of dollars worth of timber were destroyed.
Other men fought both flood and fire at the Leduc oil fields in Alberta. A new well went out of control and spewed a fortune over the prairies. For 4 months, men battled the wild black geyser. Gas and oil blazed 800 feet in the air. Pressure from a mile below the surface was shooting it there, until at last the hole was plugged and cemented. Canada's fire of the year was dead and buried.
Year of expansion. The Governor-General officially opened Canada's first international trade fair. Exhibitors from all over the world displayed their goods and bought from each other.
This trade fair adds greatly to Canada's prestige as a North American center of world commerce.
Chosen as symbolic was Miss International Trade Fair.
Gloves from Italy.
Shoes of Argentine snakeskin.
Suit from England. Wristwatch from Switzerland.
Hat from France.
Earrings from Czechoslovakia.
Stockings from USA.
Diamonds from South Africa.
Protection by the Mounties.
In 1948, the world's largest annual exposition, the Canadian National Exhibition, was opened by a distinguished visitor, Rear Admiral the Earl of Mountbatten. Highlights of the 65th CNE were the great new grandstand and an all-time attendance record of 2,600,000 people. But with Canada's great expansion, there came economic changes.
The cost of living index reached an all-time high of 160.
And that meant even greater problems in the battle of the pocketbook.
What's going to happen to rents?
What about margarine?
What about freight rates?
What about U.S. dollars?
What about food prices?
What about clothing prices?
To Canada's doorway in 1948 came men and women from across the sea. They came to make a new life, to share and help in the building of the nation.
It's grand to be here. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
There's always room in Canada for people whose hearts are right.
Happy days.
1948 saw Canada's neighbor and Britain's oldest colony debate the question of joining the Dominion. By a majority vote, the people of Newfoundland elected to become Canada's 10th province.
Year of the Olympics. Heading Canada's athletes at the Winter Games in Switzerland was the young lady from Ottawa, Barbara Ann Scott.
Women's Olympic and World Figure Skating Champion.
Canada's hockey team, the RCAF Flyers, played 8 games and only allowed 3 goals. Switzerland bowed in the final.
Olympic ice hockey champion.
Back home, Barbara Ann faced the most tumultuous welcome Ottawa had ever seen. 60,000 people, headed by the Prime Minister, paid tribute to the girl who had brought such honor to her country.
I can't tell you how very proud I was to see the Canadian flag raised and hear All Canada played during the presentation of my Olympic medals.
Back home, too, Canada's victorious Olympic hockey team received a tremendous ovation. Then the Flyers reported back to work as Flyers.
Spotlight on sports. Vancouver Blue Bombers slithered to victory over Hamilton Tigers in the Junior Championships and brought the first grid title to the West Coast in the history of the game. Frills and spills marked the 5th International Ice Boat Regatta on Hamilton Bay.
At the Dominion Curling Championships in Calgary, British Columbia captured the Brier Trophy for the first time in 19 years.
Highlight of the Dominion Ski Championships at Banff was Noel Paul of Princeton, BC, who not only won the jump, but also the 4-way combined title.
Thousands of fishermen, hundreds of boats dotted the Pacific for Vancouver's Salmon Derby. The winner topped the scales at 18 pounds, 14 ounces.
On the Atlantic, anglers of 4 nations competed in the International Tuna Tournament off Wedgeport, Nova Scotia. The U.S. team took the crown with 3,800 pounds of the giant bluefins. In the Gold Cup Regatta at Picton, a Canadian record was chalked up by Sid Street of Kansas City. And Harold Wilson drove Miss Canada III in mile trials to set a world record for her class of 119 miles per hour.
The Canadian Open Golf Tournament in Vancouver drew players from all over the continent. Chuck Congdon of Tacoma, Washington, took the title with a 72-hole score of 280.
The Senior Gridiron Championship was corralled by the Calgary Stampeders. They took the Grey Cup to the foothill city for the first time.
And then there was Gorgeous George, the golden boy who introduced an air of class to wrestling. His preeminent wave and his bobby pins, Georgie pins, were something new to the grunt and groan artist. But it didn't take long for his uncouth opponent to get in his hair. You shouldn't have done that. Ouch. Naughty, George. Remember your manners.
Says you.
The winner, the man who brought the new look to sport.
1948, year of political change in Canada. The National Convention of the Liberal Party at Ottawa heard the voice of the man who had guided his country longer than any other leader in the history of the British Empire.
When your choice is made, I shall return to the party the trust which it placed in my hands 29 years ago.
And as a great leader stepped down, another outstanding Canadian was elected to take his place, the Right Honorable Louis Saint Laurent. 2 months later, another political convention came to Ottawa, the National Convention of the Progressive Conservative Party. After 6 years of leadership, John Bracken retired.
I bring my chapter as your leader to a close.
And one of 3 candidates, Ontario's colorful premier, was chosen as the party's national leader.
And I do very humbly accept this immense responsibility.
As the year drew to a close, the Governor-General called the retiring Prime Minister and the new Liberal leader to Government House. Lord Alexander accepted Mr. King's resignation and asked Mr. Saint Laurent to form a new government.
I have pledged my oath to discharge faithfully and to the best of my ability the duties of my new office. And I expressed my hopes for the future in the short but fervent prayer of that oath, so help me God.
Here comes Santa Claus.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, thanks, Pop.
Thanks, Pop.
Say, Pop, put this away for me, will you?
Sure will.
And so Canadians left behind the momentous events of 1948 and looked forward to the headlines of 1949.